Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dr. Cliff Reacts. In this particular episode, I'm going to be talking about the CNBC video, why 200,000 service members and veterans are suing 3M. So let's go ahead and get right into it.
I was going through some of the most intense training the Army has to offer around lots of loud noises, shooting weapon systems, helicopters, explosions.
Nathan Fry is a former active duty infantry officer who served in the Army from 2011 to 2015. He's one of more than 200,000 military service members and veterans suing 3M, claiming the company's earplugs were defective, not protecting against loud noises, which led to permanent hearing damage.
So this has been a pretty big story in the military community as well as the audiology community for the past several years. These earplugs that 3M created, essentially what they're saying is that they were not protective, they did not do what they were intended to do, and me having served in the United States Marine Corps, I can tell you that the sounds that you're exposed to are insanely loud. Now, if you're not familiar with my story, they actually identified a hearing loss in my right ear when I was going through Marine Corps boot camp. I probably should have been kicked out of the Marine Corps because of that hearing loss. Luckily, I was able to stay in, but from that point forward, I paid really close attention to the protection that I was using through my time in the Marine Corps, where I served in the infantry as well as a scout sniper. Now, I personally never used this particular type of hearing protection, so I am not included in this lawsuit in any way, shape, or form, and any statement that I'm making right now is not for or against veterans or for or against 3M.
Every time that we were around loud noises, and I relied on that hearing protection during that time.
From 2003 to 2015, Aero Technologies and its parent company 3M manufactured and supplied the United States military with combat arms earplugs. The plugs, which were standard issue for soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan, were designed to protect service members' ears from loud sounds in military training and combat. The earplugs had two ends. The green end blocked out all noise. Flipped around, the yellow end is whisper mode, which blocked out loud noises, but allowed the user to hear quieter sounds like conversations.
So I have to say, having an earplug in your ears, I don't care how good that earplug is, it never blocks out all sound. The green side that they say blocks out all sound is not the case. Now, the whisper side sounds like that was more of a filtered side that allowed through some speech, but it attenuated really loud sounds. And I would suspect that a lot of the concern is that the whisper side did not actually work effectively.
We were told that by wearing that whisper mode that we could go from quiet to loud and still protect our hearing.
However, Fry says he first noticed issues with his hearing in 2013.
My hearing was getting worse. I was hearing ringing. At first I thought it was a TV that was on, and so I searched and scoured the house looking for where the noise was coming from before I realized that it was just in my head.
So what he's talking about is tinnitus. So I suspect because of his statement that he was noticing hearing loss as well as tinnitus, and the vast majority of people who have tinnitus also have hearing loss. So it stands to reason that if these hearing protectors were not effective in protecting his hearing, that could easily lead to tinnitus due to the hearing loss.
The 35-year-old says as the years passed, it never got better.
It's constant. It's a loud ringing in my ears.
The effects taking a toll on his everyday life.
It sometimes will keep me awake because it's loud. So to go to bed, I'll listen to either white noise or a book on tape. And once I'm asleep, it's not a problem. But if I wake up, then you have to start that process over.
So I have tinnitus myself, and I do the exact same thing that he does. I have to listen to something or have a fan running in the room to prevent the ringing sound in my right ear from preventing me from falling asleep. Now, once I get asleep, I'm typically okay. When I wake up in the morning, though, that ringing is right back there again, and it sounds like potentially his tinnitus is even worse than mine. Of course, he does not say how bad his tinnitus is in terms of having it tested as well as scored on a tinnitus handicap inventory or something like that.
3M has great respect for the men and women in our military, and their safety has always been our priority.
Eric Rucker is an attorney for 3M.
The very purpose of the creation of this product was to collaborate with the military to solve one of the longest standing problems they have had, which is soldiers won't wear their hearing protection around loud noises and in combat.
So when he says that soldiers and Marines and every other armed forces member will not wear their hearing protection around loud noises, that is completely ridiculous. When you're in a combat situation, we want to be wearing our hearing protection, but we have to still be able to communicate with individuals around us. Now, there's probably more effective ways of doing this rather than just giving us a cheap pair of earplugs. If they gave us headsets that allowed us communication ability from individual to individual while still keeping the surrounding sounds around us much less loud, that would be more effective. But we also have to be situationally aware for if there's enemies sneaking up on us, if there's enemies shooting at us, we have to be able to identify where those sounds are coming from. And when you're wearing hearing protection, it reduces your ability to be able to do that. So I'm not saying that there's a perfect option for this, but using a cheap, generic earplug acquired from the lowest bidder for the United States military is probably not the best option.
So what is 3M's legal response to the thousands of plaintiffs who say that these earplugs are defective?
The combat arms earplug was created and designed in collaboration with the U.S. military. It was tested by the Air Force and the Army and others, including NIOSH. And all of that testing shows the combat arms earplug, when properly fitted and used according to its instructions, works to protect people's hearing.
We're talking about the military, some of the most highly trained professionals in the world.
Key word here, when the hearing protection is used properly, and I can tell you this from being an audiologist, that the vast majority of people who use hearing protection do not use it properly. And unless you get trained how to use it in the right way, chances are people are not going to actually put it in their ears correctly.
They fly jets, they handle dangerous explosives. So are you basically saying that they don't know how to use this earplug?
We are not saying that. Clearly, the military audiologists were well trained in how to train people and fit people for the use of earplugs. It should have worked and protected their hearing in environments where it was appropriate to be using this earplug.
So I'm not sure if military audiologists actually got trained on how to use this particular type of hearing protection. I can tell you from my personal experience that when I was in the Marine Corps, and I was not a audiologist in the Marine Corps, I was in the infantry in the Marine Corps, I was never instructed by a military audiologist how to actually use my hearing protection. I want to say that the only time that anyone instructed me whatsoever on hearing protection was when I was in field week in boot camp, and they had the foam 3M earplugs that we would use. They taught us how to put them inside of our ear. I don't really remember how good that instruction was. It ended up working because I did not come out of the military with any more hearing loss than what I had when I went into the military. But to say that the military audiologists trained these soldiers and troops to be able to put hearing protection in, I'm not really sure that that occurred.
After a whistleblower suit was filed in 2016 accusing 3M of selling defective earplugs, the company agreed to pay $9.1 million to the Department of Justice to resolve the allegations, but did not admit liability. Soon after, a flood of new suits from hundreds of thousands of other service members.
So $9.1 million seems like a lot, but when you consider the hundreds of thousands of military service members who suffered hearing loss and tinnitus, potentially because of these faulty earplugs or earplugs that were not used correctly, that is a tiny drop in the bucket, because I think that at the end of this, we're going to be talking about billions of dollars.
Today, the lawsuits have been consolidated in Florida federal court, making it the largest mass tort in U.S. history. 3M has lost 10 of the 16 cases that have gone to trial, with a total of $265 million awarded to 13 plaintiffs so far. What is your response there?
Yes, there have been several bellwether trials, and unfortunately, Arrow and 3M have not been able to present all of the evidence related to the original design of the product, the military's involvement in the design of the product, all of the issues concerning the instructions and how to use the product and how well the product performed, including some testing information which has been excluded from certain trials. All of that is on appeal.
So a bellwether trial is when many plaintiffs file lawsuits against the same party or group of parties. These cases act as test cases in extensive mass tort litigation to give everyone involved a clear idea of the compensation each person should receive. So 3M ended up having to pay $265 million to 10 individuals in these bellwether trials. Now, when you start considering that there's hundreds of thousands of service members who are part of this class action lawsuit, that really shows you here how much money may be at stake for 3M. And it's really, I don't see how 3M is going to be able to pay all these out if everything gets ruled in the favor of service members, but I'm sure that there's going to be more discussion of this later in this video.
3M recently revealing new data that records from the Department of Defense show 90% of 175,000 plaintiffs have no hearing impairment under medically accepted standards. One of the lead attorneys for the plaintiffs responding, calling it a misrepresentation of Department of Defense data. Quote, 3M purposely skewed this data by relying on hearing standards that do not measure frequencies most affected by noise, concealing the hearing damage suffered by veterans. Meanwhile, Wall Street says the liability risk could be in the billions.
If you do the math on the number of plaintiffs, which is north of 200,000, and you take the average settlement value, the simple math on that gets you well north of $10 to $20 billion.
$10 to $20 billion. I don't care who you are. There is no company that is going to be pay out $10 to $12 billion and not really take a huge hit. I'm not really sure what the market cap is of 3M or their subsidiaries, but I can tell you that a $10 billion hit to that particular company, unless something else is done like bankruptcy or whatnot, there's no way that that company is going to be able to come out of that alive. Now, a lot of financial companies can come out of something like that, and pharmaceutical companies can come out of something like that, but a company like 3M, I'm not really sure that's going to be possible.
Any estimate of the total exposure for liability right now in these cases is completely speculative.
3M's legal strategy? Putting its subsidiary Aero Technologies into bankruptcy protection, along with $1 billion trust to settle the suits and indemnify 3M. The service members are accusing 3M of using bankruptcy to shield itself, and they've asked a judge to dismiss it. A hearing on this scheduled for April.
So it looks like we might get some word on this sooner rather than later if there's a hearing scheduled for April of 2023. It's just a hearing. Who knows what will actually come out of that, but it looks like they are going to be pushing this forward, and it'd be very interesting to see ultimately what happens.
As for Fry, he's expecting his case to go to trial by the end of the year.
It does make me mad that now that they found out, that the world has found out, that they knew that they were issuing a defective product, that they're trying to scheme away through either bankruptcy or through these arguments to try and avoid responsibility.
Honestly, I'm surprised that this individual was willing to talk on camera about his personal experience with this. I'm sure his lawyers are like, don't do it, because anything that you do and put on video can be used against you at some point in the future. Now, I'm not really sure which side that I should be favoring on this, and honestly, I'm just kind of staying neutral because I really want to see what happens in the trials. I want to see what evidence comes out on both sides of the fence here. Obviously, I have this natural inclination to want to side with the veterans because I'm a veteran myself and I have a lot of love for veterans. And but honestly, I used 3M hearing protection throughout my entire time in the Marine Corps, and I was able to prevent myself from getting noise-induced hearing loss while I was in. So I kind of have love for both sides here. Now, let me know what you think about this particular case. Obviously, I'll keep you guys posted when new information comes out. If you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you are not yet subscribed to my channel with notifications turned on, you might want to do that too, because I will be posting a follow-up video to this in the future when there's something new that comes out. Other than that, take care, and I'll see you next time.